Hello and welcome, it's Ruth here at Artful Stampin', bringing you again a Christmas challenge on the 25th of the month. So this month our challenge is please make a decor item that you can put in your home or several decor items. So years ago when I kind of started with Stampin' Up, I went through a big phase of making these decorative pegs, and I used to make paper flowers and stick them on, and I think that was one of my first videos that I ever made. So it's really lovely to kind of revisit this idea. I love decorating pegs because not only you get that really beautiful kind of element, the creative element of decorating something really beautifully, but also it's useful. It's something that you can have around the home and use to clip things together or put on your fridge by the addition of a piece of magnet, which I have here. So let's get started with kind of the basics of how I do this. Now, what I've done is actually stamped on a piece of very vanilla cardstock. I had just a piece spare, not a huge size. Actually, I even stamped on the back of it, so it was a piece that was kind of rough and ready and kind of going to go in the bin. So I stamped onto my piece of very vanilla cardstock with the Crackle Paint stamp set, this one here, in a light brown. So it could be Sahara Sand, Crumb Cake, whatever you've got to hand. So that is going to be the base in which I'm going to stick all my decorative items to. So that can just go on there. Then I stamped with Merry Merlot ink. It's a lovely dark red colour, onto some Crumb Cake cardstock. I stamped this stamp here from Pop of Petals. It's a really cracking stamp. It's got lots of floral images, great for all times of the year. You don't have to just use it for kind of spring and summer flowers, but it makes this really pretty kind of Christmassy looking flower. And so when I stamped it onto the Crumb Cake, I did second generation stamping. So as you can see, these are the darker ones and these are the lighter ones here. So I stamped and then stamped again, then punched them out with the coordinating punch, which is so useful. Then in my stash, I had these little bells already, but if you don't have them and you'd like to purchase some, they are on page 13 of the Autumn Winter catalogue. They're these really cute little jingle bells that you can purchase, and they come in gold, green and red. So for the sake of this project, let's have a look. I've got a magnet in here that's holding these all together. That's why it looks a bit odd. So I'm just going to grab out two of those and use those in a second. So the way I attach my flowers together is to pull in the darker one and the lighter one, and to give them a little bit of texture by grabbing my tweezers and just giving a bit of a twist, the petals a bit of a twist into there like that. And then if you do have a stamping mat to hand or something, oops, excuse me, soft-ish that you can perhaps pierce, then I actually laid the darker one on top of the lighter one, as so. Then got a piercing tool. So Stampin' Up do sell a this is an old one of Stampin' Up, so it's just happened to be on my desk, so I'm using it. But basically you just pierce it twice so that you can get the thread through. So just pick it up carefully, and if you have to, you can just lay the thread over the top like this and kind of poke it through. Now this is not always an immediate thing. You might have to give it a little bit of a twiddle and a fiddle and a pokey, but there we go, it does work. And actually, if you do want to stick the two layers together just to help it not move around so much, you can just put a little blob of glue and that will help keep the layers together. Makes it just a little bit easier to work with. Right, so while you've got the thread through there like that, you put on your little bells, which are wanting to jump out my hands right now, and you thread those up. So when you've got your bells on and you've pushed the thread back through the back, I like to cut myself a piece of this gorgeous, very rustic looking burlap ribbon, and it's approximately 7 centimetres, 6 or 7 centimetres wide, about 2 inches. And while I've got this thread here, let me just cut that off to make it easier. I'm just going to knot that up, place the brown burlap over the top of that, and then knot that up as well so that it's all kind of contained and is all together. And I don't mind it kind of like creasing up a little bit. I want that to kind of happen. Okay, I've just realised that with my previous one I actually did the bow at the front, but it doesn't really matter how you do it. You can have the threads kind of showing from the back or the front. It's up to you. So for this one I'm just going to make a big loopy bow, and it's quite nice that you've got some of those showing from the back. So the next stage is to decorate your actual pieces of vanilla cardstock with a sentiment, and most of the ones that I've used come from this set here, Itty Bitty Christmas, and you've got these lovely, very simple, long sentiments that are great for stamping on pegs, and they're not too kind of like too high. They fit onto here, because these pegs, the cream cardstock I've cut measures about 1 centimetre and 1 millimetre. 1 and 1 millimetre. Does that make sense? 11 millimetres. So we've got a limited amount of space to actually stamp on. Now this one I cut at 1 centimetre, and I can see that that's a little bit too, there's a bit of wood showing on there, so I'm not actually going to use that one. But there we go. So, you know, you just find whatever sentiments you have in your stash that will fit on to that kind of small space. So the other little decorative element I found was this one here, and it's from the gorgeous new set of dies called Christmas Layers dies, and they match with the Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set. So they're a really gorgeous kind of collection to have, and it's got some snowflake dies in it, but the ones that I've used is this lovely one here, which I think is supposed to look a little bit like mistletoe. So if I show you the pieces that come from it, I've actually cut it up, so that's why they look a bit different. So I've just taken a little tiny piece of it, and that's what's so great about these kind of bigger dies, is that you don't have to use it in its entirety. You can just cut up little elements and just use them as you wish. So I'm just going to cut that down, because I've cut off the end there at some point, so there we go. Then the other thing I did was to stamp the leaf from Painted Harvest onto some Mossy Meadow cardstock, and it's very subtle. If you can see that, I'm very well impressed, and it was just because I wanted some extra detail, and again give them a bit of a tweezer just to add some extra texture to it. Then I've also used some of this lace. Now you may have just some lace that's been hanging around in your stash for absolutely years. I do, I must admit, I'm a bit of a lace hoarder. So I'm just opening my peg up. I'm going to tie that onto the peg, and then once that's on, you can kind of attach everything else. Now this sentiment is a little bit long, so I'm having to push this down a bit further than my previous one, and actually it fits really nicely in that groove there, so that'll be fine. Okay, so we've got our little floral element there that can go on the end, and then I'm just going to tuck. I think I might just go down this end, because I don't want that to kind of encroach too much on there. Actually, that's a bit big. I'm going to use a smaller piece. Oops, tuck that in. And you'll notice that I'm not actually gluing it, because when I put this big lump of hot glue that I'm about to put on it over the top, it will kind of hold it into place. And I'm just going to poke a bit of that green one in there. There we go. Again, oh, it's covering up that season bit, so I'm going to just cut that leaf off. You know what, just because it's there doesn't mean I have to use it. And then I'm going to stick that over the top and try not to cover up that season bit. So I am using hot glue. I would recommend it for this type of project, because you've got lots of sort of like bumpy, lumpy elements to try to kind of fit all together, and it's quite difficult to do that if you're using a wet glue that you just have to sit there for like 5 minutes holding it down waiting for it to dry. There's other tacky glues on the market that, you know, probably might do better, but hot glue is my kind of go-to when it comes to making this type of thing. So there you have it, my decorative Christmas pegs that fulfills the Decor challenge for this month. If you would like to join in the fun, please click on the links below. I'm taking part in this with the fabulous Ellen from Australia and Rosalie from Australia, and also Denise in America. And so come and join us on Facebook and share what you've made, and you may be in for a prize draw. Okay, so all the information is listed in my blog if you'd like to know a little bit more about it. But certainly I hope this inspires you to start making some Christmassy items so that you're ready in December. So we've got one more next month. So this is the 9th challenge that we've done this year. We've got one more to go, but we look forward to seeing all your home decor items. If you want to copy mine, that's fine. Or if you've got ideas of your own, we'd love to see them. So I look forward to seeing what you create very soon. Take care for now. Bye.